Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Thursday, January 26th, 2023. Let me say in the right year. I am Sullivan's Twister, and this is my journey. Hey, Angela, welcome. Number one today, Angela, welcome. And to everyone who's streaming over on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Spotify, wherever you are. It is a beautiful day here in sunny, very windy California. It is a beautiful day. Hey, Frankie, welcome. Anybody who's gonna TikTok, feel free. Everyone's trying to make sure this is a fun show today. I try. I do try. I do try. Okay, so can everyone hear me okay? First, I want to check that to make sure that everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. All right, good. Hello. Okay. All right, good. Okay, so, okay. Um, well, right now we'll just get started here with who we have here. But I wanted to talk about. I did change the topic. I was going to do something else. I'm gonna do that later. But I want to talk about when you go over someone's house and you're there for dinner, lunch, whatever, barbecue, cookout, whatever, and they serve you cold food. Now, I don't know about you, but I have had cold food. So and it's not fun. And I want to know, when is it appropriate or not appropriate to tell the host um, that the food is cold, or the food is too warm if it's supposed to be a cold dish that is served warm. Um, when you tell the host that they're, I don't want to say hosting skills, but they're what they're providing you is not the way it is supposed to be. So do you just eat the cold food, or do you push it around on your plate? I mean, what do you do? Minnesota says so. Have I? I mean, what do you do if if something is? I'm not going to say that it's not edible, because you can eat cold food. Um, But if you're supposed to be someplace where you're enjoying not only the company, but you're also supposed to enjoy the food, is it rude to say something? And I know it's all in how you say it. And would you be offended if someone told you that that the food was cold? I mean, I have been places, not just at you know um, um, someone's house. I have been at functions where the food just wasn't right, at least for me. I was at years ago. I was at a anniversary party for a relative. They had rented out a venue, and when the food came out, there were like maybe 8 people to a table. And when the food came out, it was roast beef, um, some veggies. Can't remember what the other dish was. Hey, Dean, welcome. And when they brought the food out, um, the waiters, they were running around to all the tables to make sure that everybody was being served. And when they gave me mine, I don't like red meat. I don't like anything rare. I don't like anything medium rare. I want my meat cooked. I don't want to see red. So what I asked the waiter is I called them over and I said, excuse me, could you take this back and heat this up again or put it in the microwave, something, because the meat is red. I need it cooked. And they were very nice about it. They took it back. They came back and they put my plate down, steaming hot. It wasn't steaming hot before, it was steaming hot. So I knew they put it in the microwave, which was fine. But my meat was cooked. And I said thank you. Everybody else at the table looked at me, looked at my food, and they started sending their food back, you know. And the host, she wasn't sitting near us. She was sitting at the main table. Like I said, it was an anniversary party, whatever. She kind of looked over, whatever. And later on, after they had cleared the tables and everything, and people were just talking and dancing and stuff like that, she came over. She says, "Was everything okay with the food?" I said, "Oh yeah, yeah. Everything was fine." I didn't say the food wasn't cooked and everything. I just say, "Yeah, yeah, everything was fine," because everything was fine. Hey, Dina Joe, everything was fine. Um, your photo is sideways, Dina Joe. um, but everything was fine. And she said, "Oh, okay." And and she walked away and kept doing what she was doing. I kept doing what I was doing. But it was interesting to me, and I kind of laughed because when one person says something, sometimes people are afraid to say something. I know those people would have sat there and just ate their food or picked at it and not said anything. So it took one person to kind of start, you know, um, people asking to uh, send their food back. I was at another place, another family member. This was at a holiday dinner. Um, Set a beautiful table, had everything on the table, and but they didn't call everyone to eat right away. The food just kind of sat on the table, and she was chit chatting, whatever. And it was about 20 minutes before we sat down. So we're everybody's passing dishes around, whatever. But the food was cold. The food was cold, and I got up with my plate. I went over to her. I whispered in her ear if I could put my plate in the microwave because, I needed to warm it up some. And she kind of looked at me and she goes, "Oh, sure." So I went, I put it in the microwave. I came back, I sat back down. Next thing I know, there's a line at the microwave. And she, just kind of looked, so was I being rude? Because I wanted to enjoy my food. And do you just go ahead and eat cold food? And when I say it's a holiday dinner, I'm talking about all the trimmings, everything. So what do you do? I am falling for you. I have to figure that out. Oh, oh, that's funny. Um, so I mean, is it rude to tell the host that something isn't right? Juju, hey, is it rude to tell the host that something isn't right? I mean, yeah, you can go, to the washroom and or the bathroom, depending upon if it's a bathroom there or if it's not, um, and say, hey, could I get some toilet paper? Um, is that rude? I don't think so. Hey, Linda, welcome. Um, is it rude to go into someone's bathroom and you go to, you wash your hands and the only thing they have, which I don't think people should have at all. It's just me and it's my whole germaphobe thing, but I just don't think that you should. They have one towel for everyone to dry their hands, and sooner or later that towel stays damp and it doesn't get dry, which breeds bacteria. Again, my germaphobe thing is coming in here, but should you? Is it okay to ask your host for a dry towel? Or do you just come out the bathroom and I've seen people, wiping their hands on their clothes. Or what I've done is um, I go to the kitchen and see if they have paper towels. So is it rude to say, even if they do have towels, to ask for a paper towel? I mean, at what point are you pushing it being a guest? Are guests allowed to ask for anything? Okay, G said, just like what you did. I like my food hot. Gina says, if you like your food hot, there's nothing wrong with that. I use those throwaway paper towels for your bathroom just for that reason. I do not like germs either. Dina, Joe, I am with you there. It's like when I entertain, I either have paper towels or I have the guest paper towels, but I don't have towels in my bathroom. Um, I do that for two reasons. One is the whole germ thing, and two, I have seen people ruin people's towels. Like they have, gone in there and just, it's like, what are you doing in the bathroom? I have seen towels ruined, so just paper towels. Um, so, but is it rude though? Do you think it's rude? I mean, no, there's nothing wrong with wanting your food hot. But is that putting the host on the spot? Is that basically saying, "Well, you're serving me cold food here," and should the host know? Should the host know that when they're putting the food out and when they're calling you, to come to eat, that they're putting out cold food? So does that go both ways? Louise, welcome. Let's see. D says, towel situation. Take your own handkerchief. Tell the host I fell on the floor and ask for a paper towel. Oh no, D. Actually, what I'm actually starting to do is, well, I do carry some when I go places now. I do tend to carry some paper towels with me, uh, but I do like check like before I go to the washroom. I'll check to see if they have some paper towels in the kitchen or something. I'll grab a few just to taken there with me so I can dry my hands, because I don't want to use someone else's towel. You have some people who, you know, I had a couple of friends who would get upset that people would, they have people over, they go into the washroom and they're like, they're always wiping their hands on our towels. Well, if you have people over and this is the only washroom that they can have, why don't you take your towels out, take them down, and put up other towels? Because people are going to, I mean, it's like they have nothing to do. They're going to use what is there. Let's see. My guests or my family should be able to come and tell me if they are uncomfortable. I want my guests, friends, family to feel, yes, they want them to feel comfortable. Um, Not rude to tell hosts food is cold. Most people want to be good hosts and they want to know. But Dee and Dina, I ask, is it rude for the host to put out cold food? Or do you think that they're just so busy they're not aware that the food is cold? I mean, when I'm putting out food, I'm usually using a what do you call it? Mitts, because the pot bowl whatever's hot, and I want people to come to the table, or if it's buffet style, come and serve your food, whatever. And I usually say, "Come on, the food's hot," blah blah blah. But if you are one of those people, and I know people who are like this, well, they cook whatever, but they tend to, okay, so they made this. They tend to just let things sit for a bit for whatever reason. And like I said, this one particular person, they started to chit chat, and the food sat there for 20 minutes. That's enough time for the food to go from hot to warm to cold. And if the food is not hot at the beginning, it's not going to go from hot. I mean, it's not going to go from hot to cold. It'll go from, it'll go from probably warm to cold. So, you know, what do you do? And let's talk about pets. Okay, this is another problem that I had. And yeah, I'm going to talk about people with cats, because I notice I know Juju is going to say something to me about this. Um, I notice that people who have cats tend to let their cats jump onto furniture. They tend to let them jump up. Okay, Linda, I did catch you. Hopefully, we're not going to have the same problem that we had yesterday. Hold on, let me try this again. They tend to let their cats jump on furniture, jump on the countertops, which I just don't understand that, as opposed to people who have dogs. However, I am someone with 3 dogs. Okay, so I know about pet dander and all that other stuff. Nobody wants that in their food. Nobody wants that. Do you put your food? Do you put your pets away? Do you put them in a different room? If someone says, your dog keeps following me, Linda, I am inviting you. I don't know what it is, but you are not popping up here, girl. Let me hold on. Okay, you might have to go out, Linda, and come back in, because we're having the same problem that you had yesterday. So what do you do? Like my you know dogs are not even allowed in my kitchen. They know exactly where to stop. But even so, they're still there. They are still animals. I don't care if you have a cat, dog, whatever. There's going to be some pet dander. I mean, I sat on a friend's sofa, and I got up, and my sweater was just covered in cat fur, which I did not like at all. And she kind of laughed. She goes, "Ha ha," She says, "Oh, sorry." Well, it wasn't. It was like, this is a good sweater of mine. I had to seriously work to get to get that out. So um, is it rude?
Oh, got it.
You know. Okay. Yeah. Finally.
Oh,
Finally.
yeah.
Like, I don't know what is going on with the young lady. I'm just in.
It's
So, but anyway,
perseverance.
you
But
are here. You are here. So welcome.
um, what I was going to say is it's funny, really, because when my mum had guests over, we never thought about anything about the towels or changing the towels or basically having our towels ruined. They just go to the bathroom, basically use the loo and then use the towels. And
Okay.
we never thought anything about it. Maybe because I lived on a farm. And maybe because you live on a farm, you're more adjusted to germs. Because so, because you're dealing with all kind of shit, basically.
Okay.
Well, it's true, can't it?
I mean, okay. Hey, Jester, welcome. Okay. All right. No, you, you made you made a good a good point. Now, Dina Joe says, I have a dog and I warn people ahead of time that I have a dog, but he does not go by food, beg, and if someone is bothered, I will put him in a room. Okay, D says hosts should keep pets out of sight. It's rude of hosts to keep the pets in the middle of the action. Okay. And again, welcome, Jester. Okay, so D, let me ask about that. Okay, so you say it's rude for the host to keep pets in the middle of the action. I can understand if you have a pet that is just running around crazy, jumping up on everybody. But what if you have that real chill dog, or even that real chill cat, whatever, that just goes over into the corner, maybe in the same room, not paying attention to anybody, just goes into the corner and just puts his or her head down, and they're just there. Do you think that that dog should still be out of sight?
No, it should be basically if it's quiet, if it's got a basket, just leave it in its
Okay.
basket.
Okay. Now, okay. So you heard what Melinda said, D. So D is saying yes. Now I have one dog. Out of the three, I have one dog that is she's the cutest little thing, but my husband calls her the Tasmanian devil, and she is annoying. She's a yap yap dog, and she is a dog I have to put in another room. My other two dogs are just very chill. They will come, they'll look at you, and then they will just go, and they will just they're over there by themselves, not paying attention to anyone. So D, are you saying it more so? And like I said, my dogs are not allowed in the kitchen. They know where that demarcation line is that they cannot cross. So D, are you saying them being when you say around the action, are you talking about the food, or they should just not be at a party? Period. And does anyone else feel the same way? I know how Linda feels. Does anyone else feel the way D feels that dog should be uh, banished? Banished.
I'll tell you what I do hate is when people allow their animals and you're eating cats as well, and they're sitting there begging.
Oh
That,
yeah, yeah,
when they let them do that, I'm like, because I would never let my dog do that. It'd be in the kitchen basically with the door shut. But I wouldn't. I'd be, I'd train it better so it wouldn't even do that.
yeah. Right. So it's like you do train your dogs not to do that. Okay. Now my next question. Okay, you are the host. Let's talk about your children. All right.
We
As
what?
my
We
son has gotten,
children, did you say?
as my son has gotten older,
Oh, I haven't
he
got
is
children.
a young adult now. But even then, my son was never that annoying kid. Um, what do you do with those? Your kid is running around being a nuisance, and I understand that some parents are just immune to it. That they're just so used to it. They're so used to the noise that they may not even be aware that their child or children are running around, you know, crazy, driving everybody else crazy. Is it rude of you to say, "Hey, Solid, could you, tell your son to sit down, or can you do something with your son?" I mean, how do you do it? And does the host have a right to get pissed? Do you have a
Well,
right to get pissed?
she should be training that. You know, it's funny really how times have changed because when we were young, if my mum had guests, you just knew that, and we only had one telly as well. And if anybody come, it was hard luck if you were watching something. The telly went off and you went upstairs. Only if it was your aunt or somebody that you might talk allowed to talk with, but you wouldn't join in the take over the conversation. And basically, when my mum would go and get tea for him, you would be there entertaining the guests and maybe having, you know, that kind of stuff. We didn't, you were sort of told that you shouldn't basically it's adults' time and you go off somewhere and do your own thing.
Okay, all right. But as Dina says, dang, some children, some children are worse than animals. You know, let's see. D says rude of guests to tell host to do something with their kid. But D, what if that kid is being annoying or outright obnoxious? So, at what point do you say something? I mean, do you just sit there and you just deal with it, or do you
No, I'd
leave?
say something. I'd
You
say
know,
something.
okay,
Personally, I'd
but
say something.
but
But
D
I'd
is saying
say
that it's rude,
something.
because I don't think that is rude.
Mm. No, I'd say something personally because mind you, I'm quite good with children, so I always go for kids, and they usually calm down a bit when I'm with them sometimes because so I try and calm it down myself.
Okay, but if you know that your child, I mean, to me, it's an indicator, and I could be wrong, but to me, it's an indicator if you're trying to get ready for your guest and your child is running around, acting like a banshee. That is kind of telling that you're going to have your hands full.
Well, wouldn't you say? Well, I would if my child was running around and I was trying to go. I'd be like saying, right, if you're going to do that, basically, you're not going to have your video games, and so you have to think about it and think about the consequences. Which do you want? Do you want to be, and you do it. You wouldn't just threaten to do it, you do it and
No,
say,
I mean,
right, that's an
Linda, I
hour's time.
Linda, I am with you 100%, but I am saying specifically to those parents who I understand, and Dina's saying back in the day, my parents and friends and neighbors were allowed to tell us to shape up. They were allowed to punish us kids, is what I'm trying to say. And Dee says, if child is being obnoxious, I may say something to the child, especially if it is my family member. But Dee, if the child is being obnoxious, why are you saying something to the child? Shouldn't the parent? I guess what I'm saying is, while you're saying something to the child, that's all fine and dandy, but shouldn't the parent or the host of that child be the one addressing that situation to make sure that that child stops doing whatever they were doing? Meaning, it never should have happened in the first place. So that's what I'm saying. Shorty, formal welcome to you, and Crucible, welcome. So that is what I'm saying. I'm saying that if the child is being obnoxious during your party or your luncheon or whatever you're having, um, you know, if you have to say something, I mean, should the host take offense if you say something to them or even to their child? Should the host take offense
You
because
might
they're
tell
being
tell the host that if the child keeps on going and it's so annoying, I won't bother coming again.
okay? Okay.
You know what I mean? If it
No,
was
I
that
mean,
bad.
Linda, I'm with you 100%. I mean, there are places that I have not gone back because of people's children, and I have actually left places
Mm.
because of people's children. And when I saw them later, they were like, "Oh, well, why did you leave?" And I told them, and they kind of looked at me like, "What?" And I'm like, and and other people felt the same way. They did not leave, but they felt that the same way, and that person was talked about, behind their back, which I didn't think was right, because I didn't go and talk about the person behind their back. I was just going to wait to see if the host asked. If she didn't ask, then then that was just it. But this is what I'm saying. So at what point, do you tell a host that something isn't right? See, shorty, yes, yes, yes. Okay. See, okay, I got through all the comments. Okay, so, I mean, have you guys ever been in a situation where either the dog, the cat, the kid, the the host, or one of the spouse, you know, um, should and I know some of you all are gonna say that, well, if it's family, then that's different. If it's family, it's different. Whatever. Should your host, if they are a couple, um, should they fight in front of guests, whether you're family or not? Should they fight in front of you? What if this is this couple that no matter what always happens, that they're always fighting, and everyone's like, here we go again. I mean, what do you do to that? Do you try to say, okay, guys, hey, 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 and they're like, oh, shut up, be quiet, or what do you do? Okay, Dina's like, no, no. You all are like, no, no. Okay, all right. So you all just sit there and just watch the couple fight and not say anything or not do anything. You all just sit there and that's it. Dina says, I would leave. Dina Joe, I'm with you 100%. I would leave. I don't want to sit around listening to anybody argue and fight. And no, 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 no. Fighting is in private is okay if you don't pretend like things are perfect all the time. Okay. Okay. I do not need the drama, Dina Joe says. I mean, and it is. It's like, can we have this fight in private? Can we wait until everyone's gone? You know, um, no, no relationship is perfect. And you can disagree, but I'm talking about people who end up, yelling at each other in front of guests. So, what do you do? What do you do when the host is not, this little soiree that they're having is not, the fun place that you thought you were going to be? Let's see. I've seen couples act like their lives are perfect and fight 24/7 behind closed doors. Jester, so have I. So have I. So okay, so I'm going to take I'm going to take the party from the house to the restaurant or out in public. At what point, and I'm gonna switch it up. You're not the host anymore, but you still have those badass kids. At what point do you tell your child? And I know we've all been there in a restaurant when children are yelling, screaming, jumping up and down, running up and down, whatever. Uh, or they may be in the booth next to you. You're trying to eat, and it's a constant thump, 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 thump. Whatever. At what point do you tell someone to control their child? Okay, D says, say what you just said. Can y'all do this ish later? Yes, Chester, you could place bets to make it more interesting. And Crucible says last one standing. I mean, when you go into a restaurant, and Chill and I were going back and forth on this one on a previous show, and I don't think we ever really came to a consensus. But at what point do you leave your child at home? At what point is your child not ready to come out to be amongst, you know, the social crowd? Hey, crazy lady, welcome. I mean, at what point, you know, and then I'm going to ask, you know, if the restaurant put your family out because of your child, do you have the right to get mad? Here I am to Rex today. That's fine, crazy lady. That's fine. I mean, do you have a right to get mad if the restaurant puts you and your put your family out? Yes, Jester, I agree. As a parent, you should keep your children in check. Period. I agree. I agree 100%. But everyone does not read that memo. Dina says, when they are acting like animals, you want to go into public, you need to act a specific way, or you do not go. So, what do you tell those parents, Dina? I mean, you're trying to sit there, have a nice meal, either by yourself or with your friend or whomever, your own family who's sitting there, trying to have a nice meal, and the people next to you are acting the way they are. Well, it sucks to be them. It sucks to be the family that's making all the ruckus, or it sucks to be the family that's trying to sit and have a nice meal. And does it matter, guys? Does it matter where your meal is? Okay, if you're at a five-star restaurant, should you automatically expect that the decorum should be a certain way as opposed to if you go to McDonald's? Because I feel, and this is where you all may disagree with me, but I feel if I'm at McDonald's and I'm sitting over there in my table trying to eat my hamburger, whatever. Jay Bruno, welcome. And I'm trying to, just mind my own business, eating my little happy meal. And your kid keeps running around, running around, running around, all up in my face, running around, screaming, howling, whatever. Does it make a difference if it's in McDonald's or if it's in a five-star restaurant? Shouldn't I have my own space to eat my food in somewhat, I didn't say total, but in somewhat, you know, silence or something? Gracie says, I have asked people to leave before. D says, tell the parents of Bebe's kids, why are you at the restaurant? And they need to stop what they're doing or you will go to management and get it handled. But D, does management always handle it? I mean, do they? And Crazy Lady says, no, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters either. I don't think it matters if you're in a five-star restaurant or if you're in McDonald's. If your child is acting up, then you should be able to say, you know, you should be able to say something. I mean, that's just me. That's just what I think. See, Dina says, if they are not part of your party, I will go to the manager. I do not think the parents have a right to be mad just because they are embarrassed. Nowadays, people want to fight you if you say something to them. Yeah, yeah, they do. They absolutely do. But do you think it's them being embarrassed, or do you think that is them sincerely mind your own business? Don't talk about my child. Don't talk to my child. Don't whatever. Because I think is for I don't know. I think it's they need to be embarrassed, But I don't know. We had the rule growing up. We had the rule. My mother always told my sister and I, You don't embarrass me, I embarrass you. We were never those kids being dragged down the aisle in a grocery store, howling and screaming and all that other stuff. We just did not do it. It was not allowed at all. So, but anyway, so let's see. If your kids are acting up, you're opening the door to be judged and reprimanded. Dina says exactly times have changed. Crucible says people who let their kids run wild are hard to embarrass. You think so, Crucible? You think those people are hard to embarrass? And then, Jester, if your kids are acting up, you say you're opening a door to be judged and reprimanded. Do you think that those are the people who always want to turn around? I'm going to sue because you did this and did that and blah blah blah. So, Crucible, welcome.
Hi, Solid. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I do think they're hard to embarrass because we've all been in those situations, and I'm going to get to your McDonald's, analogy or question in a minute versus a five-star restaurant. But Dina Joe made a good point. People want to fight you these days. They they take umbrage at everything. They're insulted at everything. They don't stop and consider other people around them, the situation, the noise level. Some people, like I said, they go into a restaurant with five kids, and I'm defending them kind of right now. They've been listening to kids scream and yell for how long, and it's easy to tune that out for a period of time. You've heard it for so long, you just don't hear it anymore. But that's not an excuse. You're in a public place. You should be disciplining your children. But Dina Joe had it right. You dare to speak up or call the manager, now they've got a problem with you. It isn't the problem that they're causing. The problem is that you noticed it and you called them on it. So you see kids running around and their parents just talking to each other or talking to the person next to them, and you're kind of like, how can they not know this? So that's what I mean by they're hard to embarrass. They don't feel the same level of self-consciousness or awkwardness to say, these are my children running around here annoying these other patrons. This isn't right. I need to get this under control. At a minimum, they wouldn't be pushing back on the person who has the audacity to say, would you mind keeping it down a little bit? We're trying to have a meal over here. And again, Dina Joe is right. You're going to get a ration of crap from somebody because they don't believe it's your business to tell them how to raise their children, even though they're imposing on you. The way they see it is, you're telling me how to raise my children. Now, real quick to the McDonald's versus the five-star thing, I would probably suck it up if I was in a McDonald's because you're not there that long. You're in and out in 10 minutes or so. I would probably eat fast and get the hell out. If I'm in a nicer restaurant and I'm paying, $100 some dollars for the entire thing, yeah, I'm going to have a huge problem with that. So I do think the environment matters to some extent, but people who will take their children out and let them do that, what is their threshold for embarrassment or
But
shame?
but Crucible, okay. So let's go back to let's go back to McDonald's. I'm sorry. I don't care if I'm spending $100 on a meal or if I'm spending $1 on a meal. Should I not have the expectation? And people can say, "Well, you're going to McDonald's, Solid. What do you expect?" I expect, on some level, that I should be able to go in and spend my dollar or however much it is, my $2, in a place, and I can sit down and not have to rush and hurry up and get the hell out and just eat my food without your kid coming over trying to squirt me with a water gun or do whatever. So,
Well, the thing about McDonald's these days, and I haven't been in one in a while, but I've been in them. A lot of them have playgrounds attached to them, so you're on their turf almost at that point, because it'd be like going to a park where kids are playing baseball or they're doing whatever they're doing and telling them to keep it down. It's not exactly the same thing because you're paying for the same, for a quality experience, just like the parents are paying for their quality experience. But with McDonald's these days, you are kind of going into an area where, in the old days, it was just a restaurant. They didn't have the playgrounds and all the rest of that, toys and that stuff. So it's a different environment these days. And so parents are taking their kids there so they can burn off some energy and so they can run around. So
okay, but Crucible, I'm still gonna push back on you, because even if you do go into a McDonald's that has, one of the playlands or whatever you call them, then your child should be getting that, burning off that energy over there in the
Mhm.
playland, and not in the seating area where
True.
I'm trying to eat my Happy Meal.
True,
So
but you know how kids are. They get in an environment with other kids and they're practically vibrating. You know, they're so full of energy and excitement. They come from the playground into the restaurant to finish their
I
food or
understand
something, and they
that.
just can't turn it off.
I understand that, but that's where the parenting skills come in.
No,
Crazy
I don't
lady,
disagree.
welcome. Crazy lady, welcome.
But in defense of the whole playground thing area, most of the McDonald's that have the whole playground is like in a little separate area, like a little, like a whole other little like water or not waterproof, soundproof room.
Right, that's what I'm
Like
saying. So they go burn off, do whatever they gonna do there, but as soon as they step into the seating area, then they should know, or a parent should know. Okay, keep it down. We're we're eating, or there's that gentleman over there is doing this, or doing whatever. I mean, I'm just. I don't know. I mean, I do know, and I do do know what I do and what I don't do, but I just can't know. You know. Um, let's see. Jester says, I know my kids have a timer. Once that timer is up, it's time to go home or start cracking asses. I mean, and that's a good. And I like the way Jester said that. You have your kids on a timer. Okay, yep, time to go. Let's see. They don't expect to be accountable. Crazy lady says they're not held accountable. Da, da, da. Let's see. Dina said. See, D says COVID got rid of seating in the playland at McDonald's. In some, well, I know a lot of the playlands are not are gone, but you still have a lot of the seating. I have seen McDonald's where they still have seating. Um, let's see. Uh, Seating is how they also make a lot of their money. Let's see. Da, da, da. I missed somebody's. Okay, well, Crazy Lady says, if you can't control your kids and keep them in line, what do you think is going to happen in the future? Hey, GP, welcome. I mean, what do you? I mean, so okay, guys, I'm moving from the restaurant now. Now, my favorite subject of irritation. You're on an airplane. It's not just your kids. It's not the pet. It's you. When do you know that you're being an annoying passenger to someone else? Should you not know to put your bare foot up in between the seats where somebody can, should you know not to kick the seat in front of you? I mean, when do you know that you should not being annoying and you say something? When do you say something? When am I allowed to say something? Anybody? Hey, Christian. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, I that's a whole different animal because when you're in a restaurant, it is similar. You're in a confined space, although it is a little bigger than an airplane, and it's not moving. And we're in a very confined space with very limited seating, very limited storage. People have their odd proclivities when it comes to flying. They have to have things in a certain way. They're going to bring food out at a certain time. They're going to go into the overhead compartment at a certain time. And their rituals stay the same regardless of the fact that they're not home anymore. So there are so many obtuse passengers flying these days, it's hard to contemplate. So that's different than a restaurant. I would speak up immediately. You're paying a lot of money to fly on that airplane. You're probably not necessarily, but most likely flying for several hours. There's a quality of life, not just the money. There's a quality of life that is implied, a quality experience, I should say, that's implied by the airline when you purchase a ticket, regardless of how much you spend, but certainly if you're spending a lot of money, there's an implication there that you're going to get some value for the experience. You're going to be able to fly in a civilized kind of a way. So that's one of my very much pet peeves, because people should know stress levels are high. Some people don't like to fly. They may have taken some medication. They may have had 7 drinks in the airport bar. Who knows what's going on when people get up in the air like that? And you can leave the restaurant. You can't leave the airplane. So there are some serious limitations that need to be imposed on people who annoy people on airplanes, just because the environment is so different, with so many moving parts and different personalities at various stages of psychological whatever. It's just a cauldron that has to be managed very carefully.
Well, I'm going to say this because I'm going to do some pushback like I usually do. Um, let's look at then could you literally say that, well, compare an airplane to McDonald's or an airplane to a five-star restaurant? Could you say, well, you pay for the seat, so this is what you get. If you don't want to deal with certain people, don't fly a certain airline. If you don't want to deal with this, then you should have paid for this. But like you said, you're in a very small, confined space. Doesn't matter if you're sitting in the front of the plane, the back of the plane. Everybody is still in this little cubicle that's in the air. So do you tell people? I mean, do you tell people that you're being obnoxious? And a formal welcome to Power Girl. Do you tell people they're being obnoxious?
Well, there's a funny commercial out these days. You probably have seen it. It seems to be on every 20 minutes, and it is amusing, and it's for Geico, and it shows what I think would probably be the Wright brothers, and it's sort of this early flight that they were taking, and they're trying to share the armrest, and they're fighting over it, and one guy gets a tray table and he's got peanuts, and the other guy doesn't have them, so he's throwing peanuts at the other guy because he tried to take them. And it reminded me, so it was such a vivid depiction of what it's like on airplanes. So to answer your question, Solid, if we were all left to our own devices to say, well, I do this when I fly, so you're just going to have to accommodate me because this is what I do when I fly. And then I would say, well, this is what I do when I fly. And it's going to conflict with what you do when you fly. So it's like the two guys fighting over the armrest. Well, it's in the middle. We have to share it. And that's the whole concept of an airplane. We have to share everything: the lavatories, the overhead compartments, the
But
armrests.
but
It's a
okay,
shared
but
experience.
I mean, it is, and it's not. There's I can't remember her name. I will think of it before the show is over. There is a really funny lady on TikTok who talks about different experiences, flying and what have you. And this was one of them. It was just so funny the way she was telling it. But uh, and y'all, I was trying to keep this show fun. I'm not trying to get so serious. But um, what do you do when you or what would you do? What would you do if you got on the plane, no matter where you were sitting, whether you were in first class, economy, all the way in the back, wherever, and someone was sitting in your seat and they told you, well, I want to sit on this side, so just sit there, meaning you're in the same row. Let's say you have the window seat on the right side of the plane and they had the window seat on the left side of the plane, but they took your seat. Is it a big deal? Do you just sit there?
No, it is a big deal. It's a big deal.
See, and I also think that that's a big deal. So it's like, when I fly, and some of y'all know I'm very anal. When I fly, I make my reservations, or try to. I really, really prefer to make my reservations way in advance, and I always pick the same seat. Always. This is the seat that I want. I don't want the one that's over there. I want this one right here. And I think it is a big deal. I got on a flight one time where uh, the Guy got to his seat, and there was a lady sitting there. She goes, "Oh," she says, "Well, I was supposed to sit there." She was supposed to sit behind him, but her friends were sitting across the aisle from her, so she wanted to be across the aisle. He goes, "Well, no," and he says, "This is my seat," and she proceeded to argue with him. "Well, these are my friends." I'm like, "What's the big deal?" He said, "The big deal is I paid for this seat. This is the seat that I want." And then he said, "And besides, you're sitting next to my wife." So he wanted to sit next to his wife. So it is a big deal. So do you all think that it's not a big deal to take somebody else's seat, or just to be that bold, just to say, well, there's a window there, so go take the window there, or purposely, wanting people to switch with you so that they can sit next to their wife or their friend or whatever. Well, shouldn't you have made those arrangements when you made your reservations? Shouldn't you have made reservations on a flight where the two of you all could sit next to each other, and then you all are sitting next to each other, and it's no big deal?
Well, let's go back to the restaurant analogy again. If you went into a restaurant and the waiter D or the manager was going to seat you, and let's say there's a pick of tables that's not that crowded, and you say, okay, I would like to sit in a corner table or something, or by the window or something. It's not available. You'd have some flexibility, right? A table's a table, kind of, as long as you're not by the kitchen or next to the bus station or something like that. Provided it's a decent table, it may not be your ideal location, but you can live with it for 2 hours, right? Um, Seating on an airplane, different deal. People are very particular for particular reasons. I was the same way when I flew on a regular basis. I could never sit in the middle seat. I've got a claustrophobic thing that's developed over time. Just cannot do it. Not even for 5 minutes. Not crazy about the window either, because it's all the way in like that. So people have their very peculiar ways, and they're not just like um, strange. There's legitimate reasons that people want to sit in a certain place, whether it's next to their friends or not. You have these own personal things that matter to you. So when you ask somebody to sit someplace else, or would you mind doing that? That's not like changing tables in a restaurant or something. That is a major ask, and I think it's very bold for anybody to do that. Flying is such a personal experience compared to anything else. You just can't go imposing your will on people at 35,000 feet. It's just not
But
fair.
even Okay, but even if welcome Power Girl, and welcome Sharon. Um, Even if it is a restaurant and you have your pick of tables, um, again, if I got to the restaurant first and I had my pick of tables and I picked that particular table or whatever, or they say, "Oh, you can sit wherever you want," then somebody else, comes in and they will, "Can you, I really like this table, can we switch?" More than likely, especially if my food is already there or on its way, or if I'm with someone, we're engrossed in a conversation, I'm going to say no, because out of all these tables, like you said, you can't find someplace else to sit. You have to sit at this table. Maybe you should have got to the restaurant a little bit earlier. Maybe you should have reserved the spot. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know. I just think that you um yes, when you're in a plane, it is different from being in a restaurant, whatever. But um, uh, I have been on trains where people have asked me, if they can have my if they can order. If you ever gone on Amtrak, if you go on an overnight trip, if you buy a coach ticket where you're sitting up, then if you eat something in the diner car, you're paying for each meal. Whereas if you have a cabin or something, then you are your meals, you just order off the menu, because you're already paying for that in the price of your ticket. And I have had people that I've known, that I've traveled with, who took the coach thing, who paid for the coach and not want to pay for the cabin, and wanted to order off of the menu but they wanted to take my meal, and they said, well, could you just pay for this? And they take my meal, because you're getting a better meal. I'm not getting a better meal. It's the same meal. It's just that you're paying for it, where mine is included in the menu. I just think that it's a lot of what people ask you to do. If you want it, pay for it. If you want it, get in line earlier so you'll make sure that you have it. If you want it, you know, stand there, get it, call, whatever, make your reservation early so you can have it. I used to go to concerts where I would literally, yes, I was one of those people. I would stand in line, literally, I was one of those people who stood in line 1 or 2 days to get tickets. And got the tickets that I wanted. So I don't know. Crucible, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything is kind of situational. What you would tolerate in one situation may be something that you would never tolerate in another situation, and you might not even be able to articulate what the difference is between the two situations. You just got Sometimes you have this innate sense that something's not right, and you have to speak up. Other times you're annoyed, but you say, you know what, I can live with this. I don't like what this person has done, but I'm going to keep the peace. There's probably going to be more damage done if I make a scene. And you just kind of make decisions based on what's going on at the time. There's no blanket thing to say, I would always handle it this way, or I would never do this, or that kind of a thing. It's just, it's not a real one size fits all kind of approach. It's going to depend on the demeanor of the other person you're talking to. Are they reasonable? Are they hostile? And things can escalate very quickly. So you got to make some, as they used to say in sports, game time decisions there, split second decisions. Do I want to pursue it? Do I want to lay back? Do I want to prove a point? Am I in a bad mood? Is there a better time for this conversation? All kinds of things go through your head, and you have to make a decision. So it's very situational, I think.
Yeah. It is, but I'm also, like I said, one of those people who like to plan in advance. I very rarely plan things at the last minute. I mean, there are times when I've had to make reservations and what have you at the last minute, just because. And if so, I'm stuck with whatever it is. Then I have to make my decision there. But if I make reservations, months in advance, I don't expect someone to come and change them just because. So, so I'm going to wrap it up, y'all. So, just to to ask everyone, if you go someplace and your food is cold, do you tell the host? I say yes. You can do it in a nice way, but no one likes to eat cold food. So, Crucible, did you want to say anything? Sharon says, yes, I will. Yes, I will too.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's like the golden rule. I don't know if it's the Boy Scouts or whatever it was, but the thing that our parents used to tell us is kind of that whole do unto others. And unfortunately, not enough people do that these days. But I have a simple rule. When I'm contemplating any kind of behavior out in public, you ask yourself a simple question, or two simple questions. Is this appropriate? And would I be okay if the situation were reversed? And not everybody has common sense. Not everybody has the same level of consideration and the same kind of manners. But you only can control yourself. So if I wouldn't want it done to me, then there's a pretty good chance I shouldn't be doing it to somebody else. So,
okay. But people do it to each other all the time.
yes, they do.
Oh boy. So all right. So the Monday we are going to try with Prepping Money again. He is going to be back with the financial side of prepping. I follow him on TikTok and I love his TikToks, and he is to me a wealth of information. And since Jester is here, I'm going to give Jester a plug too, because Jester is also a wealth of information. I really, for me, I'm speaking for myself, Jester. I really like your prepping shows. I get a lot out of them, so I like them. So, but Prepping Money will be here on Monday. And Frankie, thank you very much for your kind words. This was a kind of a deep week of topics, but today I was trying to keep it light. Don't know if I did a good job of that, but trying to change it up. And what else? What else is coming up? That's about it, guys. On Saturday, Friendly Differences is back with Friendly Differences 2.0, and that is back on Saturday. We'll have our first show was last week. Our show with an actual guest will be this Saturday, 12 noon Pacific, 12 noon Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. So that is going to be streaming on YouTube, and we will upload the audio to Podbean. Have not done it yet, but we will. But anyway, um, that's it, guys. That's it. That's all I've got. Thank you so much for coming as always. And Crucible, Linda, and Crazy Lady, thank you for popping up on the panel. It is very much appreciated. And thank you for showing up, everyone, and commenting. And on that note, what do y'all want to hear today? I'm going to leave y'all with a little bit of bounce. I'll leave you a little bit of happy swing. So, heard this before, but I like it. Thank you, Juju. And that's it. And Juju, I just wanted to tell you, I don't know if you were on with DJ Karma Camille the other night, but she was doing her DJ thing, and we had an earthquake. You can see it. You can see it. You can see everything start to shake. And she was like, "Is there an earthquake?" I guess everybody on the West Coast said, "Yep, that was an earthquake." But it was pretty funny. But anyway, guys, enjoy your weekend wherever you are in the world. And I hope to see you on Monday. And you can tune in to Friendly Differences 2.0 on Saturday. Uh, please do. And thank you to everyone who has been following Friendly Differences since we've made some changes. Really, really thank you for that. And the people who have really made my YouTube channel is really starting to blow up. So thank you so much. So on that note, guys, again, enjoy your weekend, and I hope to see you Monday. Bye.